Good morning to those who have dropped a comment. Good morning, Quincy. Good morning, Alex. Good morning, Malik, Ayomiko Donaike, and to every other person on board this morning. Now, let's quickly run through the fundamentals, then we'll go on the charts to see the technicals. Morning, Tony. Now, today, Monday, there'll be about four fundamental events from Canada by 2:30 p.m. So we expect volatility across the card pairs today. 2:30 p.m. there'll be CPI monthly, CPI yearly, trim CPI, and common CPI from Canada. And simultaneously, we'll also have Empire State Manufacturing Index from US. And later tonight, as in that same 2:30, and later tonight by 9:35 p.m., FOMC member Walla will give a speech. But the focus this morning is the Canadian dollar news in the afternoon by 2:30 p.m. And on Tuesday, we don't really have any tradable events like that. On Wednesday, there will be the tradable ones. I'll talk about the CPI from United Kingdom by 8 a.m. on Wednesday. And later in the evening on Wednesday, there'll be FOMC meeting minutes, but not the main one. So the key event on Wednesday will actually be the CPI from Canada. Sorry, CPI from the United Kingdom, pardon me, on Wednesday. And on Thursday, we have quite a number of fundamental events: average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, unemployment rate, Thursday from the United States. Now, this is coming because, the shutdown from the US is over. It's been lifted. It ended last week. I think on the 12th, 13th, thereabout last week. That's sometime last week it ended. So that's why the NFP is coming up now this week. We've not had NFP for like 2 months back to back, as in the month of October, first Friday October and first Friday November. So this should be the November version of NFP now coming up 2:30 p.m. this Thursday. So please take notes. We're going to be trading this live at PU Prime. It's authentic now. We're taking it live. If you remember the last the Monday of the first Monday in October and November, all it was showing was 10:30. But this time around, it's showing us that the time has been allocated to it, which is 2:30 p.m. So just brace up and join us on Thursday. Now I can see it's not even coming up on Friday, it's coming up on Thursday. So let's take note of that. So Thursday this week, we're having our average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, and unemployment rate. We're trading it live. So join us on Thursday. And 4 p.m. Thursday, there'll be existing home sales. Now, unemployment claims as at this moment is going to come up that same Thursday, but it's still tentative. But then other events are taking place. So Friday this week, the important event will be the retail sales from United Kingdom, which will take place by 8 a.m. And other events, there are quite a number of other fundamental events on Friday, which will move the market from the Eurozone, French flash manufacturing PMI, French flash services PMI. That's by 9:15 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. German flash manufacturing PMI, German flash services PMI, and ECB President Lagarde speech. That's by 9:30 a.m. on Friday. So you can see we have a lot of news from the Eurozone on Friday. Also on Friday, we have quite some news from the United Kingdom, like the flash manufacturing PMI and the flash service PMI by 10:30 a.m. And 1:40 p.m., the SNB chairman Sledger will speak. That's from Switzerland. And 2:30 p.m. on Friday, core retail sales from Canada, 2:30 p.m. And from the United States on that Friday, there will be flash manufacturing PMI and flash services PMI. Those are the key events, quite a number of it on Friday. I believe on Friday, nobody should bother to trade technically, just focus on the fundamentals on Friday. All right, that's just a rundown of the fundamentals for this week. Now, I'll just go back to the chart now and show us what I'm expecting technically across different financial assets. And for the news from Canada this afternoon, by the afternoon session, you'll be guided on the specific instruments to trade for that. So watch out. There are 4 events coming up from Canada this afternoon by 2:30 p.m. So afternoon analysis session will cater for the analysis of those events. So let's go over to the charts now and see what we're expecting technically. Now, the first instrument I'll be looking at today is the USDCHF. The USDCHF. Now the USD CHF is actually bullish, very, very bullish. And on the 1 hour, I'm bullish, but then I'll take it from the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, you can see that the last week candle closed as on the support level with a rejection candle and even an upward moving trend line, an uptrend. So technically, we are bullish on the USD CHF today. If you take it down to 1 hour time frame, I'm seeing an inverse head. I'm actually expecting the shoulder to drop a little further before a breakout to the upside. So I will still anticipate a possible retracement so that we can have a clear-cut shoulder. Though in reality, price has broken out above the trend line, but it's a 50-50. Normally, I expect a sharp shoulder like this, possibly a retest and a continuation. But let's just watch out. But peradventure that retest doesn't happen, we may just look at an entry if a new candle breaks out above the recent, the recent high. And price is actually close to that level as we speak. So this little high here, if a new candle clearly breaks out, very clearly breaks out above here, you may trigger a buy for USD CHF. We are bullish on the USD CHF. If the breakout happens, at least price is expected to hit the first target level at Fibonacci 38.2. That's about, let's just say roughly some 15 pips. And Fibonacci 50 at about 40 to 45 pips. You may target just that Fibonacci 38.2 or Fibonacci 50. Between 15 to 40 pips thereabout is possible on this instrument in the course of today. So we're very bullish on the USD CHF. Good morning, Madam Onaji. You're welcome to a new week too, man. All right. So next instrument I'll be looking at is the Euro GBP, all from technical perspective. All right. So this is Euro GBP on the 1 hour, but then, I do top-down analysis. So I start from the higher time frame. All right. So this is the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, price closed last week after hitting this resistance. This is the candle that closed last week, touching that resistance level. You can see this is a key level because price had reacted to it also in the past. There's multiple reaction each time price touched that particular level. So technically, we're looking for a reversal on this one, a reversal to the bearish direction on a lower time frame. So daily, we have price hitting resistance. Think I okay, and coincidentally also, aside hitting the resistance on the weekly time frame or the daily time frame, market also closed as a rejection candle, a doji. That is still another confirmation of a possible reversal in the bearish direction right there. So this one, you can trade it based on your discretion, either as an intraday or as a swing. Intraday meaning making entry on 1 hour. Swing means making entry on 4 hour. But I think I want to go with the 1 hour side to this. But then, let's start from the 4 hour. It's clearer that we're seeing the head and shoulder forming on the 4 hour. This is a shoulder, a head. Might say slight move up, then a breakout. What we're looking out for to trade is a breakout downwards below the neckline. If price breaks out below the neckline, below that area I marked, then with the RSI clearly below 50, we can trigger a sell on the Euro GBP. And if you take it down to 1 hour, it's still the same thing. This is a 1 hour version still have our shoulder, that's the range of the shoulder head, a second shoulder, and a breakout. So wait for a clear breakout below the neckline, RSI clearly below 50, and trigger a sell. Now, if it works out just as planned, profit should be in the range of price could move at least to Fibonacci. It's 1.8 is too close. At least Fibonacci 17.6 at around 20 to 25 pips is really possible on this instrument. So we're bearish on the Euro GBP. We're bearish on the Euro GBP. And likewise, we're bearish on the Euro AUD. Now, all these assets I'm mentioning, whichever one triggers first is the one you should go for. Now, they may trigger at different times, you know. For the Euro AUD, this is my view. On the daily time frame, we have the market closing on a resistance level. Let me just remove all these lines. Price closed on a resistance level last week Friday, and that resistance level, the candle for the daily time frame last Friday was a rejection candle. So technically, we're expecting a further bearish movement on the Euro AUD, possibly today. So if you take it down to the 1 hour time frame, we're also having a shoulder, a head, a second shoulder, and a breakout. And we'll be looking to take a sell if price breaks out below this region, which is the neckline. In this scenario, we're going to be targeting the recent low. We're not going to use Fibonacci for this. It's a bit close. All right. So once a new candle breaks out below the recent low, a new one right below, and RSI clearly below 50, just ride the wave downwards, place the sell trade, a sell order, and look at targeting something in the range of 60 to 70 pips. That's what I anticipate on the Euro AUD. So we're bearish on the Euro GBP and on the Euro AUD. Next is GBP CHF. Now, don't forget we are bullish on the USD CHF, and we're likely bullish on the, we are also, not likely, we are also bullish on the GBP CHF. Now, this is my analysis of the GBP CHF. On the daily time frame, we have price making a series of lower lows. And the candle that closed last Friday closed as a rejection candle, as a lower low on a psychological level as a support, 1.04000. That's a psychological level acting as a support. So we have a confluence right there. We have a lower low, a rejection candle, and a psychological level all at this point. So technically, we're expecting price to move to the upside today. So we go down to 1 hour where we'll try to refine our entry. And on the 1 hour time frame, again, I'm seeing the formation of what looks a lot like an inverse head and shoulder and a trigger to the upside. You know, that's why I said for that USDCHF, I still expect some downward movement. But if it doesn't happen that way, like I said, just once price breaks out above the recent high, you may trigger a buy. So for the GBP this is the neckline region. So whenever a new candle breaks out above this neckline, which should be somewhere around here, you may trigger a buy. RSI is already clearly above 50. MACD is already above 0. And we're going to look at profits on this one in the range of, you can see entry is even close to Fibonacci 30.2. So moving to Fibonacci 50 can get us as much as 25 to 30 pips. And Fibonacci 1.8 can get us as much as between 55 also to 60 pips. So we have about 25 and about 55 pips to catch on GBP CHF on 1 hour. Every setup today is on 1 hour. I'm not seeing any swing at the moment. Now we have the indices. NAS 100, that's NASDAQ. And this is my view on NAS 100. On the daily time frame, price closed last Friday as a rejection candle on a support zone. So technically we're expecting a move to the upside today. So taking it down to 1 hour, we can see we have the valid support still in place. An inverse head and shoulder. Price is getting to that breakout point. Now, if price breaks out on this one, I anticipate price may target this previous support turned resistance. So I'm anticipating a move to the upside to hit that previous support turn resistance. So your entry on this one may happen any moment. We only need a new candle to break out above the recent high. You can see the high now is already a resistance. I mean, this is a valid resistance. So once a new candle opens above it, you can trigger a buy. So if you're there, you trade indices, watch this closely. So what we're waiting for now is we already have our inverse head and shoulder, just expecting the breakout to the upside that will target the next support turn resistance, and that should be around price level 25427.10. That range should be our profit taking level. Don't forget, we need to wait for a new candle above this recent high before we trigger a buy. So we're bullish on NAS 100, that's NASDAQ. And finally, I'm also looking at the S&P 500. This is a very, very important, index, and it also comes with a very high probability setup, not just support alone, but with a trend line. Here, price is bouncing to the upside. You can see price making a series of higher lows, higher low, higher low, higher low, and higher low. Technically, we're expecting a move, a continuation to the upside. So that's the first view. Secondly, we have price closing on a support zone last Friday with a rejection candle. This is actually a perfect looking doji. So we have a confluence here, the trend line, the support, the rejection candle, and even this looks more like a double bottom. That's the two candles by the side by side, is giving us a view of what looks like a double bottom. So technically, from all angles, we have a confluence pointing us to the bullish direction on the S&P 500. So we'll take it down to 1 hour time frame. And right here on 1 hour, we have our inverse head and shoulder, just, having exactly the same setup as what we saw on the NAS 100. So we're going to be looking for an entry above this minor resistance, and we may target also here the next support turned resistance. That's the closest. If price actually pushes above that region, we may anticipate the next one up here. But I think I'll just hold on to the first one. That's a lot closer and more realistic. All right. So if a new candle opens up above here, then we'll target this area as a profit taking level. RSI is already clearly above 50. MACD is already slightly above 0. All right, so that's going to be all from analysis this morning. I'll give a little recap. I can see more people are joining us. So for the benefit of those who are joining us, I'll do a little recap. We're bullish on the USD CHF on 1 hour. We're bearish on Euro GBP on 1 hour. We're bearish on Euro AUD on 1 hour. We're bullish on the GBP CHF on 1 hour. We're bullish on NAS 100, that's NASDAQ on 1 hour, and we're bullish on S&P 500 also on 1 hour. So that's going to be all from my end this morning. I'm seeing quite a number of requests here. I'll quickly attend to them as we round up. All right, Collins Ayahu is asking me to check Euro USD.
I'm sorry, sir. Please, I wanted to. Did you say it's the X&P or SRP?
S&P 500.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Not XRP. If
Okay.
it's XRP, I will have mentioned Ripple also.
Yes, it's true. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Now, kindly take note that those indices are actually very volatile, so please trade them with caution, and trade them only if you have the liquidity to carry, the trade. It can be very volatile. All right, Euro USD. Now we're bullish on the USD CHF, and Euro USD technically is looking bearish. But then I would rather prefer this Euro USD on 4 hour. And this is why I'm saying that. On the daily time frame, we can see that price is in a downtrend on Euro USD. We have a lower high, another lower high here. Last Friday candle closed as a rejection candle. We have a rising wedge. So we expect further, bearish continuation. That's the daily view. So let's take it down to 4 hour. On 4 hour, price has actually broken out below the rising wedge. However, RSI is yet to cross below 50. That means RSI is still in the buy zone. That means there's a tendency for price to still retrace, possibly to retest the lower trend line of the rising wedge. So price may still retest this before experiencing the downward movement. So I'm bearish on the Euro USD, but it's on 4 hour. So it's a swing. And if you must trade it, wait for this move like I just labeled it now. A retracement to retest the trend line, a breakout downwards. RSI must be clearly below 50. Very, very important before you trigger a sell. So we're bearish on the Euro USD. Mr. Anyeti Akpan is asking to check GBP NZD. There's no clarity around GBP NZD at the moment. There's none. So I can't really say anything about it. It becomes tradable if price is able to break out, possibly downwards to test this trend line. Then we may look at buying back to the upside. So until that happens, there's nothing. I can't say anything about it. Nothing clear about it at the moment. All right, Madam Maureen, GBP JPY. Okay, let's quickly look at that. GBJPY2 has been in a range, towards the end of last week, and is still in a range at the moment. If a breakout happens either to the upside or to the downside, then we'll know the next move of the GBP JPY is actually bound between a resistance and a support. So you can see price is just in the middle. So if price goes up here, we may look at trading it downwards. But at the moment, there's nothing we can say about the GPJPY at the moment. US 30. US 30 is labeled DJ 30 on our platform, and DJ is actually Dow Jones, so it's still the same instrument. Now, US 30 is having a similar outlook to the NAS 100 and S&P 500, but um, I have my reasons for not mentioning it because it's not as exact. I would have preferred a very clear looking rejection candle where the shadow is way longer than the body for the one that closed last Friday, but I'm not really having that on this particular one. And the support I'm seeing is not so clear on daily, though I think it's better off on 4 hour. It's still a little bit okay on 4 hour. But I'm not just getting the general things I look out for. But I'm not saying that it may not buy, it may, but for me, I would rather stick with the ones that have a high probability. So if you're not on a trade already, just ignore this DJ30 and rather stick with NAS 100 and possibly S&P 500. But for the sake of analysis, yes, on 1 hour, we have a valid support on 1 hour. Though for me, I look at the higher time frame and an inverse head and shoulder is forming, which may trigger price to the upside. But then you need to also wait for price to break out above the neckline. RSI above 50, a new candle above the neckline. It may buy, but like I said, I'd rather stick with the ones that have a higher probability, which is the S&P 500 and NAS 100. Euro JPY. Now, this particular one, we've been on it for some time, anticipating a reversal, but it's not been reversing. Probably it may happen anytime soon. Currently, it's trading around a higher high on the daily time frame, forming what looks a bit close. Closed last week with what looks similar to a tweezer top, not a perfect one. So we may be expecting. I'm not giving this as a valid high probability analysis. I'm just saying what I'm seeing. It's not a high probability one, but we may anticipate some reversal on it possibly as the week unfolds, maybe today, tomorrow, anytime. And you may look at taking a sell on this if price breaks below this support zone. Uh, so if price breaks below this support zone, you may look at taking a sell on this. But if you're not on a trade already on this, I would just advise if it's possible to ignore it, just ignore it. It's not a high probability setup. Emmanuel, I'm bullish on EU. What are your reasons for entering a bullish trade? Or is it that you entered earlier before this morning? I always tell my students you must have valid reasons before you enter a trade, either a buy or a sell. And you need minimum of 3 reasons before you enter a trade. The more, the better. If it's 4, 5, the better. For me, I have a bearish outlook on the Euro USD. Though, like I said, it's possible we might say retracement. Retracement is a temporary movement against the overall trend. It's temporary, so it's possible it may go slightly bullish before going to the overall trend, which is bearish. So I will advise you put proper risk management in place, in case things didn't go with the current entry setup that you have. Um, Madam Maureen, we already talked about GPJPY. It's not clear at the moment. It's ranging. Shidera Gold, Madam Monaji BTCUST. All right. All right, so this is gold on the 4 hour time frame. Gold is forming what looks quite close to a symmetrical triangle. Well, it's 4 hour, and that's actually a big time frame for gold. So, but then generally the outlook on symmetrical triangles, if price breaks out to the upside, we're looking at buying. If it breaks out to the downside, we're looking at selling. But then I'm just looking at this closely as the day evolves to let you know how it goes. But it's possible we may see some reaction if price touches this particular trend line. Let me go down to 1 hour to confirm. Yeah. So we have a previous resistance turn support, and this region can be a confluence with an uptrend. So if price drops to this level, there's a high chance, a high tendency that we may see some bullish movements afterwards. So I will encourage you to watch this level closely in the course of today. If price would drop to this, confluence zone, that is where we have the support turn resistance and the trend line meeting. There is a possibility of a reaction that could push price to the upside. So let's just watch that. So we can take it down to like a 15 minutes time frame. And we can anticipate a drop and possibly a bounce. We have a trend line right there in place to capture how the move will go. So watch out closely for this. A drop and a breakout to the upside on gold. Yeah, Madam Monaji is asking about BTC USD.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Like this gold, if as it is a symmetrical triangle on
Yes.
one or four on 1 hour, if it breaks, you say when it drops the at the trend line, it might bounce upwards and start buying. Do we buy when it is still within that, or when it breaks out of the trend line, either the upper trend line or the lower one? We should wait. Immediately it breaks and it is RSI is above 50, we can buy even when it is within there or when it breaks out.
Wait for it to break above the trend line, like this area I'm marking now,
Okay, sir.
and confirm that RSI is clearly above 50.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
BTC USD. All right, so this is BTC USD on the weekly time frame. Price seems to be in an uptrend. Yeah, we have price on an uptrend on the weekly time frame. So price is making a series of higher lows, higher lows. Now, if price is able to touch the trend line, we expect a bounce. So we can go down to the daily, and we're going to be waiting for a drop to this trend line and a bounce from there. Now that bounce will become more, price could get volatile if that bounce also comes up with like kind of a rejection candle, or a candlestick pattern, or a chart pattern. Any one of those, kind of patterns could make it more volatile. But our focus is price dropping to that higher low on the daily time frame. So we're expecting a drop and a breakout. So we can draw a trend line here and form a falling wedge pattern. So this is my outlook. We expect a drop and a reversal from there. At the point of entry, price must clearly break out above the trend line, and RSI should be clearly above 50. So that's my outlook on the BTC USD.
Thank you very much, sir. We
You're welcome.
appreciate.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We're
You're welcome.
grateful.
You're welcome, Chidera. Okay, crypto cash. Please recap NAS 100 and S&P 500. You're welcome, sir, Mr. Shewu. Okay, I'll just do that recap and of NAS 100 and S&P, and we'll close. Now for NAS 100, I said on the daily time frame, price closed last Friday as a rejection candle, a doji precisely, and we also have a support. And I think there should be a trend line. All right. So we actually have a confluence of price moving, making higher lows with a support, rejection candles. Even rejection candle, the two of them is making it look like we're expecting a double bottom. So we have a probability here that price will go up. It's a high probability setup that price is going in the bullish direction on the daily. So just coming down to 1 hour, we are already can see the formation of an inverse head and shoulder, and slight retracement. And I said, now this retracement also is coinciding with a minor resistance here. If a new candle opens above this resistance, you can trigger a buy and target this next minor support turn resistance. RSI is already above 50. MACD is already above 0, meaning price is already, in the bullish direction. Only we're waiting for a proper entry. So that's my outlook on the NAS 100. We're bullish, just waiting for a clear breakout above this current minor resistance. And the other one on S&P 500 is very close, very similar to what we found on NAS 100. Again, it's still the same uptrend with the trend line, support, rejection candle, exactly the same thing. And on 1 hour, an inverse head, retracement, a minor resistance, waiting for a clear break and target the next resistance zone. That's all. So we're bullish on both the NAS 100 and S&P. All right, that's going to be all from my analysis this morning. Watch out in your group, your WhatsApp group, or any group you belong to in PU Prime. I'll be dropping the recorded version of this video, of this analysis. Just make sure you watch it again to gain a clearer insight into what we have done this morning. Don't forget, we're having NFP on Thursday by 2:30 p.m. Now, the data will be released 2:30 p.m. So that means that by 2:15 p.m. we're going to be live. We've not traded NFP in 2 months now because America had been under a shutdown. But then that shutdown came to an end last week. So we're having NFP this Thursday, not Friday. Take note, not Friday, it's Thursday by 2:15 p.m. Make sure you have a funded account. It's time to start making money to end the year. December is just some weeks away. I mean, Christmas rather, it's just some weeks away. Start making end of the year profit with PU Prime. All right, take care and have a great week ahead. Bye bye.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a
You're welcome, man.
pleasant week.
You too,
We are
man.
grateful.